community are built in our field. So not just in a perfect, fancy way, but the real one in the real world. So I'm happy that for today's webinar, about 140 of you registered today from quite a few different countries. So it tells us it is a shared question, not a niche one. So over the next hour, we'll try to move to several topics. So trying to define what a career looks like from an entry level to a leadership level. So what a leadership and communication actually mean in pharmacovigilance, how the professionals communities are built and scaled, and actually how the global initiatives can impact on a local level, where actually all our roles is mainly on, so on those level. A very quick kind of a housekeeping note. So please, if you have a question, please put them in a chat anytime. So we'll try to answer them at the end of this webinar, in this talk. So we'll have a short dedicated Q&A session. So let's start. So I am Artem Horilyk. I'm the Chief Product Officer of DrugCard, a pharmacovigilance platform, which strives to automate and help to build pharmacovigilance processes in a modern and automated way. And also me with the team are involved in building the pharmacovigilance community. So this is a very close topic for me. And also I would like to present our guest today. This is Dr. Julia Appelskog, the head of QPPV office, and someone who had worked across several fields in this industry, in a small pharma, big pharma, legislation, I mean, affiliate, and so on. And she's definitely has a kind of a helicopter view on those career and leadership issues. And I know that Julia had a very similar talk a few days ago on a conference in Sweden. So I'll pass the stage to Julia. Please, can you please share with us what's your views and present those topics?
Thank you very much, Artem, for kind introduction. And like you say, a couple of days ago I was in this Nordic Baltic conference, and during the breaks, a lot of people were discussing like what my next step, or am I in the right place, what shall I do? And I think this topic about the career and how do you want to plan your career is very important now. So I'm going to show some slides and do the presentation, and in the end we will have the Q&A session with you, Artem, and with our people on board. So
yes, super nice. Please share.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I need your permission to share my screen. Oh, no, I can share the presentation. Yeah, I cannot share the screen, but I can share the presentation. That's perfect.
Good. Yes, it's
coming. Yeah.
Good.
Okay. Do you see it now?
Yes, it's fine.
Great. So the PV career operating system, and I want to focus to how to work across different organizations, small pharma, large pharma, affiliate, zero, authority, and also consulting. And of course, I start with a disclaimer. So I'm not getting fired. It's my own opinion, not the opinion of my company that I'm working on. And the question that many of you are probably asking, what job should I take? But instead you have to think about like what environment helped me to grow, because a lot of it's about grow. And I was remember once listening for the talk and saying in the 50s, it was very important to have a husband and wife, and you were happy just to have it, and you have a job, and that was most important, you have a job. But nowadays it's we want to have job to be allow us to grow, to be very interesting, to be able to develop ourselves. And the same, it's not enough just have a wife or a husband. We want to love this person. So it's what is the best place where you want to be. And here I put also a picture of aquarium with the fish. And I remember once I was changing the position and going from large company to the small company, and my manager says, yeah, that's the question everyone asks. Do you want to be small fish in a big aquarium, or do you want to be a big fish in a small aquarium? The environment is different, but it's also about yourself and where do you want to grow, how do you want to perform. And here I put a slide about the career is not always linear, right? We used to think that it's just going up from starting in the first position and developing, going to the head of the department, but it's actually a different type of career. You can be an expert to deep specialize in one molecule or in one substance and work for many years and be an expert in it and being happy. Or it could be the traditional linear career, moving up in the hierarchy and the leadership and taking responsibility. It also could be a spiral, like moving across different fields, like pharmacovigilance, clinical operations, regulatory innovations every few years. And I think early days, I was also working with the pharmacovigilance, clinical, in the same environment, regulatory, quality, medical information. And I really learned a lot being in this environment, and also a lot of great idea coming between cross-functional, cross different department, a lot of idea that I was able to implement in pharmacovigilance. And then the last one here is transitionary or episodic, people moving chaotic between different fields, but also getting a lot of experience in this. And usually if you meet a person, so how to know who is in front of you, if you haven't seen a friend for many years, and when you see the person say, well, how is everything? Oh, it's great, I have a big team, I have many people reporting to me, you know, okay, this is the person who appreciates linear career. Or if you ask another person how is done, yes, we studied this molecule and we will find the mechanism, and it's so great, and this person get the energy from going in the deep, you know, okay, now you have an expert in front of you. Or the spiral, the person moving in different field and growing also and taking the inspiration from different fields. And then finally, transitional, embracing changes and driven by novelty and variety that give them motivation. So the question here, what gives you motivation? What makes you happy? And that's not the same for everyone. And it's also not the same for the recruitment. I think nowadays, if I recruit, I look for the people who can contribute to my team something that other people don't have, the knowledge that we don't have it. So this transitionary or episodic career could be very great also to have a person in my team who has the experience in a different environment. So we have, I put here 6 different environments. The regulation is the same. At least in Europe, we have very similar European legislation, but reality is different. How it's in reflected or how it's implemented in different environments. I have been working in the large pharma, in the small biotech, in the affiliates, CRO. I haven't been working in the health authority or in the freelance environment, but I also included based on the people around me and the experience they share. So it's could be one job title, but it's completely different jobs. It's 6 different jobs. In the small pharma, you are the system, you have this ownership end to end, and the PSMF is yours. And the same, the call at night when you need to fix the issue. In large pharma, you own a slice of the system. It could be one signal, one product, one region for many, many years. So you go more in depth, more politics, more matrix, organization. I remember moving from small pharma to the large and being a manager for many years, and then my manager. But what's about the matrix environment? It is quite different in the matrix environment. And the local affiliates, a lot of people starting maybe there being a local QPPV, a local safety officer working for the multinational company. And it's kind of bridge between the headquarter and to the national authority. And then working for health authority, being judge for population, looking for the public health framing. For the CRO, I put it UC 12, advanced 12 of everything, or sometimes even more. It's a very agile environment, very fast, but you also learn quite a lot being part of the system. And then finally, as a freelancer, you're the contract, your name is everywhere, but also your liability as well. So the question, how to develop your career, what do you appreciate? Do you want to go to depth? Then probably go to large pharma or to health authority. Do you want to be very broad in your experience? Choose the CRO or small pharma. If you want to autonomy and have your calendar and how it's things in your calendar, choose the freelancer, consulting or being in the local affiliates. And of course, the environment is different. So in the small pharma, you are the system. You open mailbox, chase with the medical writer on the PSUR, you call the CRO to process your cases, you probably get some response on the PRAC and list of questions, and you are in the PSMF. You have to manage all of it. And I think when I started 24 years ago, being in the PV, and we've been like 4 people in the office doing everything. If you need to send the HPC letter, put the envelopment and put the things inside together with the manager or the CEO of the company. Or if you need the homepage, people asking, okay, who feels like doing the homepage? I can do a homepage. So it gives you a really, you're involved in a lot of operations, and also cross-functionally seeing a lot how other function, quality assurance, business development, which molecules we should go, what we should acquire, which direction. And you own the PSMF, but of course you trade a real training budget or travel budget, your holidays as well, and the backup in place. If you look for the large pharma and the headquarters, you own a slice of the system, but it's also your day could start with the 7 o'clock call with Tokyo and Japanese spontaneous report. I'm working for a large company now today, and one person of my team is sitting in Australia, another team sitting in the US. So sometimes at night, 3 o'clock at night, I got a message from Australia. Good morning, Yulia, how are you? And then the call from the US. It's the time is not normal working now, so you have to adapt and putting Australia and US together in the winter. We always have 9 or 10 or 11 o'clock in the evening meetings to combine all these different timelines. And so you focus on the work. You're very specialized working in the large pharma, but also you own like 7% of the work and 100% of one sub-bullet in the PSUR. And the global organization, there are a lot of resources. You have real budget, real system, but you own very small piece of it. And then you trade this end-to-end ownership, agility, and speed. I remember one of the company I was working, so we had like for the SOP to do the final version, it took 9 months after safety update the SOP. We did the safety update, everyone was happy, and sent to the cross-function review. It took 9 months. And sometimes it could be challenging if the authority, you have the inspection, you have CAPA, and some authority asks to put something in place in 3 months, and it just was not possible in that organization because of the lengthy process. And then in local affiliate, you are the country, you are the translator between the headquarters, your national authority. Working in the local affiliate, you do the local safety mailbox, a lot of promotional material, market research, organized data collection system, align on the translation issue, a lot of training to the local safety team on adverse event reporting, local literature screening, a lot of things you do. And that's actually when I started. My first job in Pharmacovigilance was in this local affiliate. And my first working day, I had 2 reports of SIDS, sudden death infant syndromes, working for the vaccine, and the Norwegian authority asked me to implement the requirement for the electronic reporting. And it's like, I ask my global colleagues, headquarters, so what can I do? And they're like, well, you're the local, you're supposed to know everything, how to implement locally. And that was good mindset for me, because I understand very early, I'm the one responsible for this Nordic country. There is no one could help me, so I need to find out in my own way how to manage it in Sweden and other Nordic countries. And then we go to the next one for the health authority and regulator. So this may be a list of my knowledge because I haven't been working in the health authority. But I would say that you judge for the population, you have the interest of population and your mindset, a lot of PSUR, and looking for the, for example, applicant benefit reasoning and writing, have a call for the co-rapporteur, align your position with other health authority, and hopefully in the evening you can go home and decision can wait until tomorrow. But of course, every working place is different. I just given some example, and your working place probably look very different. And then the last, no, not the zero. If you go to the zero or sponsor services or vendors, you see a lot of system at once. You probably have different agreement with the sponsor, providing services as a QPPV, as aggregate report writing, as different case processing, a lot of focus on the productivity and the availability. Every hour has a code that you need to put to one of your clients. You really learn a lot. You've seen a lot as well, but at the same time, you're not responsible. You maybe lose the responsibility, the ownership of the processes, and the possibility to make an impact going from end-to-end process and implementing. And the last one is a freelancer. You are the contract. You start your morning with the phone in the safety, because you are safety contact for free PSMF, and looking for the incident for client A from last month, and then chasing the client B and looking for the gap analysis and maybe deviation or kappa for client C. And then in reality, you look for the SOP, but you have not wrote them. Even if you see like, okay, I'd rather do in a different way because you see in different system and you want to help, but in the end, it's the MIH who has the responsibility to decide. And here maybe have a few clients, but your calendar is free and you can decide. And I haven't been working as a freelancer. I remember discussing with one of my colleagues and say, well, maybe when my children are adult and grown up, and then I can pick and I can do whatever I want to do. And this lady I was talking to, she started her consulting firm, and her kids were 3 and 2 years. And she said, well, that's actually the reason why I started my consulting, because I want to have my freedom. I want to have my summer free. I want to spend more time with my daughter. And that was the reason why I started. So everyone has different reason. And then you have to be really thinking what's your motivation, what's give you energy, where you are also in the period in your life, in your family life, in your development. So looking for what people can say afterwards. For the small pharma, on day 1, nobody told me what to do. On day 2, I realized that was the job. And I really feel this way in many companies, in the small companies you started, nobody tell you what to do. You really have to figure out yourself most of the processes. In the large pharma, the example from the signal lead, 3 years in one signal, I know better than the regulator now. I think also a lot of people can recognize it working for many years in one signal, one product, one molecule. For the local affiliate, the local safety officer, half of my job is translating headquarter SOP in the language that local inspector can accept, and really trying to find this local how we can implement. For example, if you take the PSMF, we have a global PSMF as head of the QPPV office, we have the global PSMF, but we also overseeing all this local PSMF and local requirement in many countries, and we have many discussions when every country want to put their own way for the local PSMF, and our task to have the oversight and to keep the control of the process. So it's a lot of try to communicate to each other and find the best solution. For health authority, for the assessors, my evening command, my assessment change a label. And that's maybe also a driving force for many or some person. My assessment changed the label. For the CRO, example from the aggregate report lead, I have seen 12 SOP and none of them entirely right. So you see a lot of good system, you know how it should be, but you don't have always possibility to the ownership and make changes. And for a freelancer who is working solo, year 5, I learned the work is saying no. And I think also many freelancers recognize it. So here I put 4 questions that you need to answer, and then maybe guiding which career to move, where to be. If you're looking for end-to-end ownership, then probably go to the small company or being freelancer, because then you own a lot. Those who are interested in going the therapy area and go to the depth, then a large pharma would be a good place, or maybe working to the health authority. If you're looking for the total compensation, so here a large pharma or freelancer. And if you're not afraid of personal liability, then you can go and be in freelancer. So beyond the GVP, each place we are working in demand something. For the small pharma, generalist, nerve, work very broad with a lot of things. For the large pharma, patient and politics, how to manage the SME, different stakeholders. So I would say stakeholder management is very important, especially when you want to run your project or make changes. I am the innovator in my spirit, so I like to do changes. I like to find in more pragmatic way, and then I learned the hard way that stakeholder management is very important if you want to make changes. For the local affiliate, the translation from headquarters to the local authority, but also the other way around, from the local health authority, local requirement, and going to the both directions. So like the conference Artem you mentioned, it was Baltic and Nordic, and a large piece of the conference was about the risk minimization measures and education materials, and each authority presents in the way how they approve risk minimization measures. And even being in Europe and having similar legislation and follow GVP models, but the implementation is very different in every country. Requirement is very different. One authority is doing everything, and all materials need to be approved. In Sweden, they've been very pragmatic, and they say, well, send to us, and by sending to us, you complete your MIH responsibility. We are going to check 10% of them. We're not going to check everything 10%, but by sending, you have completed your MIH responsibility. And then for the health authority, you need to learn the defensive writing, and always keep in mind, so what's the wise peer review and the sponsors, lawyers, right? For the CRO, contact switching, very fast switching between putting different hats and different roles, and always remember that every hour is billable. And for the freelancer, as I mentioned before, saying no, and both learning how to sell and how to market, and then maybe refusing client whose risk you cannot care. 6 career traps. In the small pharma, maybe you're going for the title like head of PV. Looks great. It sounds like promotion, but in the end, it's only you. You're the only PV, even if you have head of PV title. For the large pharma, sometimes given to the brand name, but you need to negotiate the asset and the team, and the logo doesn't tell which product you get. For the local affiliate, assuming the global sees everything, and that's not always maybe the case. Local affiliates do have a very important role in the processes. And for health authority, maybe ignoring the cool-off period, many agencies bar your name from the asset dossier for 2 to 5 years after you exit the organization. For the CRO, brief is deep. It's not the same. Maybe you have 5 sponsors in 2 years, maybe 10 sponsors. And when the senior recruiter asks, which signal did you drive? What you performed? What you did actually? Sometimes it could be difficult to ask because it's the variety is very huge. And for the freelancer, maybe chasing the freedom, but losing structure, losing the documents, losing the budget that large pharma have in place, and then you realize during the audit. So here I put 4 questions, then maybe help you to make a decision where do you want to be, or what's your next step. Do you want to your name on the PSMF? Well, small pharma or your own company. Do you want to know one molecule very deeply? Go to large pharma and health authority. Are you getting the energy by 12 at once and the agility, 0, your own company? And the last one, if you can carry personal liability and still sleep at night, not wake up, then a freelancer probably would be your best way. And it's both who you are and what you give your motivation, but also what stage in your career, where are you in your career. I remember once working with a very talented young girl. She was very bright, very talented, and I giving her a lot of projects as well because she could manage everything, I thought. And then she said, well, I'm actually going to maternity leave in 6 months. I don't want to have any new project. I don't want to learn anything right now. My focus is my baby and my health. And I don't want to do all this new project, which I realize it's not always who you are. It's also about the step where you are. So if you remember one slide from this presentation, maybe planning is very good where you want to be and understand. Like in the first 14 days, understand the reason. If you want to leave, why? Do you want to leave? What's the real reason? It's not what you put on the LinkedIn, but deep inside, what do you want to do? What do you need right now? In the day 15 to 45, talk to 3 people in the seat and understand and ask the question, what's yours Tuesday? What wouldn't you tell me on LinkedIn, right? What's the real job? And it's also not always blindly listen what the people saying. When I ask some people being in the company that I joined, before joining, what they think, and they say, well, I have a high blood pressure, or now after being there, this place is impossible to walk, and I still went there, and I was happy I did it. And sometimes when I make the career change and people say to me, well, that's the suicide if you go there, and yes, that's the place to be for me. So you still need to take your own judgment and what are your reason and what do you want to do. And then in the next day, apply, negotiate, name roles that you would like to be. And if you state, also like put in the date, how long do you want to stay, and reread this in 12 months to see it. And this slide is about the future-proof skills, because of course the pharmacovigilance is evolving, and we do need combined technical and the governance skills. That's very important. The risk thinking, benefit risk, mindset, system thinking is also important, like end to end. And I remember one of the leadership team training. We divided team A, B, and C, and I was in the team B. And every team had the KPIs, 60 seconds to mix the cart in the certain order. And our team B was doing very well. We're doing our KPIs. We managed to put the cart in 60 seconds. But as a manufacturing site, team A, B, C, all together, we were not able to meet the deadline. We were not able to make these KPIs. And then we get some time to think and say, okay, you need to talk to each other and think. And we asked team C, who was after us in the process, is it helpful the way we're sorting our cards, or do you want us to do it in a different way? And they say, well, the way they're doing is useless for us, because we start over from the beginning. When you we're next in the process, and we just start over. And it was like an eye-opening for us. Okay, we need to think about next in the row about team C, what is helpful for them. We change our way of working in this exercise, and then all together as a manufacturer side, we start to reach our KPIs. It is as the whole ABC. And that's example I always keep in mind, like next in the loop. Is it helpful what we're doing? Can we help them in a different way? Or shall we change our process? Or are we doing too much, right? We're good to think a lot of things, new things in our plate, but you cannot just add and add and add. You also need to take it away something from your plate. And the influence stakeholder for decision making, as I mentioned before, it's so important. And if we think for the manage the stakeholder, like a graph, in one it would be power, and another would be the interest. So everyone is different. Someone has a lot of power and no interest. Someone would have no power but a lot of interest, and someone would be in between. So you really need to think when talking to the people, like where they are, their power, interest, where is this, and give people what they need for their job, for their performance. The regulatory awareness is very important. That's my favorite topic, to look in for the legislation, what change, why change, and also being pragmatic, how we're going to implement it. When the inspector come in the room tomorrow, so how I'm going to explain and show the implementation pathway. Data literacy and understand the AI output, how to use AI, and that's the skill that we would really need in the future. It just make our life so much easier when we use the AI. And then, of course, visibility and networking. And that's why you're here today on this talk regarding the networking and giving maybe some different ideas. Visibility could be very simple as like putting your camera on when you're in the meeting. I just, one of the colleagues who reported to me, I had a very long discussion to ask to put a camera on because people were complaining and say, well, if you're not visible, it's difficult to make a career because people don't know. We are human. We want to connect. It's not about how you look or how much makeup you have on you. It's regarding to see that you're a real person behind the screen and to connect. Yeah, AI definitely change our work if we're looking for the future, but it's not the accountability. Automation shift task, but human is responsible, and we speak a lot human in the loop, but I would rather say like human in the control, because AI it's just a tool that help us, but we're still responsible to make an action and make things happen. And the final takeaway, there is no perfect organization, and of course the right one, only the right one for this stage. Where you are today, what's your situation, what do you want to be, what motivate you. But also when you are brave to make your jump, you still need the right environment. You need to see that there is enough water around you, right? Just do the jump is not always the smartest. You need to make sure there is enough water. And here, yes, I when putting all the things together, and I was working a lot on trying to understand. And then as a result was this new book that I published last Saturday, the Pharmacovigilance Career Blueprint. And you are welcome. You can order from the Amazon. It's available in most of the country. So that's the end of the talk, and I stop sharing.
Thank you, Julia, for a wonderful and lovely presentation. And what actually strikes me that with those metrics that you've shown, that working in different environments, actually any of environment has not all the stars. Yeah, there is no best environment, and there is always like some pros and cons, right? So as like you're those kind of a triangle you showed with depth, breadth, and autonomy. And that is my question. How actually, what is the best for you to build, and what is the best for you to have already one of those three elements, and how to build a third?
Yeah, I like all of them, right? I started in the affiliates, and I was working long time. I was working 8 years in the affiliates, but also doing all this cross-functional, because I've been the PV. That's always been my main for 24 years. But beside PV, I also doing the regulatory, quality, medical information, and clinical, and going to the clinic, writing the protocol, doing the submission to health authority for clinical trials, doing the monitoring. So it was great because it gave a lot of inspiration as well. And then working other affiliates to the small company, I would say when you move, it's good maybe to get the background, to get the experience before you move, because you're supposed to implement and do a lot of things, and you don't need experience. You need to see a different system before you start to implement, otherwise it would be very challenging. And that's also a reason why in the legislation for the QPPV function, I've been QPPV for, I don't know, 3-4 organizations maybe. you need to be experienced if you go for the QPPV or head of pharmacovigilance, being responsible for pharmacovigilance. You do need experience. Large pharma has different challenges. Like I say, it's both about the ownership and how much you can change, right? I remember I was recruiting someone coming from the CRO. We had the affiliate in India, and this person was coming from the CRO and asked during the interview, so tell me, what do you do? And he said, well, I'm doing the booking in the system, booking the adverse event. That's great. What else do you do? Booking. And okay, if you want to change the SOP, what do you do? And say, well, I will send email to my manager and say the SOP need to be changed. Okay, what else do you do? Booking, nothing else, just booking. And that's also give you like working for the large CRO and being in this role. It depends, but maybe this person was happy. It depends where you are in your life, career, and also looking like layoff is quite often nowadays in many companies. And I also see how people managing it in a very different way. Some just being very calm and say, well, I will wait for my package and I hope I will get a package. And actually, it's not always negative. Some people, I always dream to open gym. I'm going to open my gym when I get my money. I will open the gym. And then for me, it was good also to realize it's not always a tragedy. Some people also want to be in this situation. For me, when we had the layoff, I chose to move to another company because I was feeling I want to have my security is important right now. The kids are small and I want security. So we all have different decisions depending on our life and where we are in life, right?
Right. Thank you. Totally agree. And your closing slide on the deck is saying that AI automation is actually changing the way they approach how we do the tasks in pharmacovigilance. Yeah, and we're using it, and it helps us to minimize or get rid of the routine. But really, the human accountability actually remains. How do you think this AI features and tools can influence the leadership, how the leadership changes in a new, modern way?
First maybe comment regarding the leadership, and I wish that there were more knowledge about AI. I still feel that we need more knowledge, right, and know how to operate. But the way how leadership is changing, I would say it's more human-centric. Nowadays, it's more about the emotional intelligence, how you connect to people. It's kind of new type of leadership. And I was thinking that when I've been in this drug safety congress last year, and I met a lot of colleagues who work with me in different organizations, I was very happy to see them. And I feel so proud because all of them doing so great, being the QPPV, head of pharmacovigilance, started their own company. And I was feeling like very proud because those was the people who I believe, then they were reporting to me, I believe I seen them. And sometimes you just need to believe in person. I remember one girl, she was always getting a B during the performance review before I joined. And then now she took a lot of projects. I really support her to take the initiatives. And she's head of the team. And like, wow, sometimes you just need to believe in person. And they are opening, they're performing, they feel secure, they feel that they can really do a lot of things. And it's so rewarding as a manager also to see all these people growing.
Yeah, correct. So maybe more human-centric. Okay, fine. Maybe more value of communication and actually the effectiveness of this communication. So a few weeks ago, we were hosting a local conference of the Kyiv Drug Safety Day, and the topic was also about leadership and communication. And we stated and actually confirmed that there are a lot of issues which prevents very effective communication between pharmacovigilance, and many specialists and leaders also should be educated how to do it in a more fluent way. So maybe a practical question, because the communication is important, but it not always is a pleasure. And in pharmacovigilance, we deal with problems, with safety signals. How to communicate the problems with the product to a leader, so to gain trust, because like we know about signal, but the management wants a launch. How to communicate such kind of issues from your practice?
Communication is extremely important, right? And also check the effectiveness of the communication. I remember we went once to vacation with my husband and saying, well, we have the same phone, so one charger would be sufficient. Yeah, of course, it's enough. And when we came to our vacation, no one took the charger because we just agreed that one was enough, but we didn't say who is doing what. The responsibility was not there. And I also, since we're working in the pharmacovigilance, I remember in the early days we have like health crisis, or it was a death case after one of our vaccines in Austria, one girl, well, and the parents, of course, they were trying to find who is responsible, writing, but the way how you address the issue, how you communicate, maybe it was not done the best way, because then in the end the sales in this country was zero, so it was no more sales. And or another crisis we have with the similar product in the Australia, so the young girls getting vaccinated, and they just have a rules in Australia at that time that you need to sit in the wheelchair, so they draw it from the from the doctor, so because to see that there is no anaphylactic reactions. So that was just their policy. But when young girls start to see everyone sitting in the wheelchair, they start to faint without even going to the doctors. And that's also affected a lot of loss of the sales and the way how we communicate, and it's preventing crisis a lot. And I remember that time we had a training with the police department, just an example in Sweden, and they say it's very important when something happens, you put the press conference and you say, this is what we know, and you just say fact, what we know. That's all what we know. Tomorrow we will have another follow-up at 3 o'clock, and then we give whatever we know tomorrow. So, and that's also I'm keeping in my mind quite often. You need to communicate. Whatever you know, you need to communicate. All the crises, the worst you can do is not communicate. And then that's also, I see all the changes, transformation, and chaos everywhere, and a lot of organization being chaotic. It's so important just to communicate. Even if you don't know, say, that's all I know, or that's all I can disclose at this point of time. We will see you in 1 day, in 1 month, in 3 months, we'll provide more information. But it's important, the communication is important, to do it is important.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Maybe the latest point from my side, in line with the communication. So within the era of AI, so there is a trend while people are communicating less with each other, because it's very convenient to communicate with the AI agent. But I'm sure we need the human communication, and that's why the forming the communities is very important, whether it is a local communities or global communities. So we in DrugCard are building the community, the Secret Drug Safety Club, which collects the PD specialists from different countries. We are we are organizing the events, kind of the side events of different conferences. And I know there is today, without the participants of this club, who is not can trying to question around how to join it, because it's secret drug safety club. I know that, Julia, you also organizing the community, trying to collect the PV specialist, because that is actually can be a very strong impact, as on a personal level and also on the industry-wide level, how we deal with crises, how we grow and help each other to grow. So maybe a final point to you about the challenges, how to grow and how to make those communities actually effective.
Yes, and you're doing a great job putting people together and organizing this kind of event, because it's so important, the human connection, the human touch, and especially a lot of people working remotely now and working from home. I also feel it's so important to connect, and just maybe thinking there, I was doing some music, because I'm writing poetry, I love poetry, and then I thought, okay, I can do music from my poetry with help of AI, since I'm not a musician, and then I was listening like, but is there any value in the AI wrote on music? And this discussion was that it's not actually who did it. It's more about the feeling that you get it, what kind of emotions it's raised in you, what do you feel afterwards. And for me, it's like, yeah, nowadays it's a lot about human touch. It's a lot about the emotions. It's a lot about the connections. It's a lot about the support, people supporting you, people believing in you. The community is also important for the knowledge sharing. And if you're in the small company or in the CEO responsible for the system, and the inspector tomorrow asks you about a lot of questions and you need to find the answer, where are you going to find the answer? Not everything in the legislation. It's a lot of unwritten rules and the expertise, but have you in your work and you can ask your colleagues, how did you address it? Oh, now with the new legislation, how are we going to manage it? What shall we do? And then this support is really important.
Thank you. Thank you. So before we proceed with several Q&A sessions, thank you, Julia, for your answers and for presentation. I should mention to everyone that we'll issue certificates of attendance to everyone who joined, but we'll send them only to those persons who would fill the feedback form. So please, you'll receive the feedback form of this event. It is short, but please fill them, and afterwards everyone would receive these certificates. Thank you. We have one question in the chat from Joanne. So do you always have to have certified translators? I suppose that was in the moment when you were talking about the questions from Swedish Health Authority, but maybe Joanne can clarify.
So for the translator, it's maybe depend on the process and on the requirement. I see the quality of the translation we use. So I start to use DeepL, and we do use DeepL in our current organization. And looking for the materials from this organization, the quality is more than 95%, and that's actually the requirement for the human translator to be above 95%. And a lot of translator agency using the same tools, and they asking the MIH, what do you prefer? Do you prefer the machine translation? Do you want to have human translation? So it depends. I don't remember any legislation that is clear written that it must be human translator. So it's all about the quality, about security. You cannot put on the Google Translator a lot of confidential data right from your company. It's you shouldn't do it. But for the environment, when you have the enterprise software or within the company, then it's different, right?
So is your DeepL as a sole decision maker how to translate, or you still need how to proofread with a native speaker, or it's okay to have just DeepL?
It depends on which process, right? So the process I'm running in my team for the QPPV office, PSMF, regulatory intelligence, there is no requirement for this. For the, I probably need to ask this question those who go through the inspection and the question they get from the inspector on the translation. So I don't want to say something that it's not under my responsibility now.
Okay. We have one more question from Elena, please.
Yes, hello. Thank you very much for your presentation. I really enjoyed it. I actually had two questions. So one question pertains to what you stressed about artificial intelligence. So I was wondering if you see any trends on some positions, some roles that will dissipate in artificial intelligence. And do you think that there are any place for people who kind of strive in this aspect, who have knowledge in artificial intelligence and pharmacovigilance? Yeah, this is my first question. And the second question is, so for example, you were talking about work-life balance. I was wondering if, so I think you said maybe that there was a little bit of problem with work-life balance if you work at CRO. But what do you feel about big pharma versus small? What do you feel like? Because I think you work in Sweden, where it's very common to have peakers and breaks and things like that. But I was wondering, what is your feeling right now? You work now in a big company. How is it going for you?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So to answer to your first question regarding the use of AI and if role disappear, and I remember in one of the company we had a transformation project and also looking like for the outsourcing and what is the core activity, what's not core activity, define what we keep in house, want to have outsource, and I think it's similar. So AI is a tool. It can do a lot of things. It will help you. It will help you analyze data. It help you present data. It's make you a better communicator, right? It just help you, but all the core activity would build still the human expertise. It's like the example I see, you come to the bookshelf and there are a lot of books there, but the bookshelf is not a professor. I'm the professor who used this knowledge, right? Not the bookshelf. So similar with the eye, it's a tool, but you still need to tell them what to do and you need to make action, and that's only human who could do. And I see more, it's like a help, keeping the core activity, working on the strategy, and getting help with the eye on the routine work. So from my perspective, it's getting more interesting, more exciting, more thinking. And like say, let's human do the human job and let's AI do the boring job, maybe. And for the second question was regarding the work balance, right? My question to this would be that it's really not that much on the organization, of course, type of work, but it's also depending on the manager. Once I've been working with the manager who everyone was feeling very bad in her team. People get sick, get cancer. So it was two ways. Either you go on the sick leave or you leave the team, and that was for everyone. So that's very, like they say, one bad manager can do so much worse than 100 great managers. So that's very important maybe to the environment where you are. But also, we're at some way, if you're not happy with your manager or with the process, find something else to be involved. I have a colleague or friend, they work in one organization and she's responsible for the diversity process. So she's very engaged for the women and the leaders and how to implement the diversity in the organization, and she's very passionate about it. And if you're not happy with your processes, find something else within the company and involved in other exciting projects that give you energy, right?
Okay, can I ask you one question from your experience? I think I know you personally. I meet you in World Patient. No, it will be now World Patient Congress, and I will meet you. You will be here this year.
Yes, yes, I will join there.
I will be too. I think we will discuss. I know that you have great experience using artificial intelligence. I sometimes see you post on LinkedIn and you experience using personal experience using artificial intelligence. For example, what I see now is that routine some operation artificial intelligence doing good. But when we're talking about analytical job, deep analytical job, I see sometimes it looks a little bit primitive. What is your experience? For example, for writing documents like risk management plans and periodic safety of data report, your personal experience, your personal point of view.
Is my personal, I don't have the experience in it as being part of the large company. So we investigated what is the best way. We're looking for the in-house if we should develop for the aggregate report and RMPs, or we have also vendor who is providing this. So we're currently evaluating which way to go, where to bring it. For my personal knowledge, you can do a lot, and the cloud probably is what I'm working now, and using all the skills, and it can build a lot, and I just get really amazed how much you can do with cloud. So if you choose one tool, that probably would be the one to choose.
Okay, but the question is that human in the loop and personal responsibility of expertise, the personal responsibility of QPPV is now like more important than even using artificial intelligence, and how to combine it, because from one side, big load and too much task, from another side, artificial intelligence, I'm sorry, but it's still not development like we need in our job or in our activity.
Exactly. So we will never be without the job.
It will be just overloading of my staff, for example, because what I see sometimes it takes a lot of time, involvement, expertise to rewrite, for example.
Exactly. And that's for this process, it's really great example to use AI, because you just get the first draft. You're still responsible for the content. You're still responsible to the QC, do the medical review, do the final approval. It's just helping you. And then since it's not fully written by AI and submitted to authority, that's also, you have more flexibility, and you can use different tools, because you are still responsible. You are still doing the review and medical review and the QPPV review. So all the steps very important, and they're not going to disappear. And now it's a lot of focus, human in the control.
Yeah, thank you. Have you have another question, Helena?
I have many questions.
Maybe one more question, because we are out of time on this planet time. If you want one more question.
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have two more questions in the chat, maybe short answers from you, and we will wrap up. Okay, so a question from Marwa. What about being the PV auditor, and what are the requirements? Is it only the long experience, or some suggestions? Any suggestions?
Yeah, I have been working as an auditor. Even I did a couple audits through my QPPV, and you cannot perform audit yourself of your team or organization, but you can do for the partner. And I was running GCP audit once upon a time. But we have also discussion like, do you need certification to be the auditor? And there is no requirement, at least what I have seen in the legislation, to have this specific education. So it's the experience, not the methodology. Probably not be the lead auditor immediately, but assisting, starting, helping with the different audits, and to have knowledge. So you need to have knowledge, and often during the inspection you get finding if you QA department doing the audit because they are not the expert in the PV, then you will definitely get a finding. So you need to have knowledge how to do it and of pharmacovigilance.
Thank you. And the last question, a kind of interesting one. So I'm going a certification course in Gen AI and machine learning. From where can I practice it for PV?
Everywhere, right? Everyday job. We ran the course on the use of AI for the signal detection. It was last autumn, and we're going to have another one, the training in October. And it's really amazing how much you can do even for signal detection with the sample different tools, and we have the exercise for the participant to do, and they choose different large language model to do the exercise, and it was really amazing to see result how much you can do. So practice in every step, but being responsible for the result, because of course we can see that AI could be creative depending on what you're asking, and yeah, you are still responsible for everything.
Okay, thank you, Yulia, for a lovely participation and presentation. Thank you for sharing your ideas and your expertise with all of us, and thank you the participants that you joined today, asked questions, and as well as like communication and communities is a very strong tool to proceed in pharmacovigilance, to build strong industry and have better results. Thank you all for today's meeting and webinar, and see you on our next events.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye. Reminding you for feedback forms and certificates. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.